Here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
Today, we're going to talk about a few comics live with the audience right now. Give us a little bit of a very brief, cursory breakdown, and then our thoughts on the books that we read from last week. Give you a little bit of a summation and talk about them. And then we're going to give you some recommendations of books that are coming out this week that you should check out.
Yeah.
But before we do that, I just wanted to give a quick plug. If you like this shirt, if you like shirts in general, and if you like shirts with our logo on them, I think you should check out tpublic.com/stores/ComicPOP.
Nice.
Just go down into the doobly-doo below and click the link that says, hey, some shirts, and it'll take you right there. And you should check them out because they're, I don't know if there's a sale going on right now, but if you want some ComicPOP swag, check them out because
Nice.
you don't just have ComicPOP stuff. You also have like Marvel, DC, Image, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
And some original creations by you.
Yeah.
So, you know, throw them a bone. Anyway, so let's jump into it. The first book we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about Man of Steel?
Whatever you want to talk about first.
I guess we'll talk about Man of Steel, number
Part two.
2. And man,
It's Superman.
breakneck speed. When I heard that Bendis was jumping on to Superman, he was going to do all the Superman stuff, and Man of Steel 1 came out, I was like, oh, right on, okay, well, I guess we'll wait a month or a couple of weeks for Man of Steel 2. No, next week, boom, Man of Steel 2.
Yeah.
Of course, this is the second issue of the miniseries written by Bendis.
Yes.
And before I let you talk again, I'm going to interrupt you so that I can say that when I called out the title for Man of Steel, and I was like, it looks old and dated and silly, apparently that's the old logo for the original John Byrne Man of Steel miniseries. They just used that from the 80s, brought it back. So it's kind of like an homage, if you will.
go.
But it might explain why it doesn't look modern.
Right.
So there you go. But anyway, so Man of Steel Part 2.
Yeah, it has 3 artists on it.
3 different artists on it, yes.
Yeah.
For a regularly sized issue, by the way.
Yeah, it's probably how they're able to get it out, though.
Yes, there's also another reason, apparently.
Yeah.
One of the artists...
We got Doc Shaner, Steve Rude,
Yes.
and Jason Fabok.
Yeah.
For 2 pages.
Doc Shaner apparently couldn't finish it. He had some personal stuff that came up and just dropped off. And apparently,
fair
he's
enough.
off the book.
Well, when life calls, sometimes you have to answer it.
That's true. That's very profound. Thank you, Tiffany. But yeah, so apparently Doc Shaner had to bail off the book, and so it's getting picked up. I had to look that up because I was like, this was so egregious that there were 3 different art. Now, Jason Fabok did draw the stuff about where Lois and John are, and that's going to be a trend throughout the series.
Yeah.
Like, whenever we check in on all the questions that we all care about, it's the Jason Fabok stuff.
Yeah, apparently issue 6 we're going to get some answer.
I hope so.
That was in DC Nation this week.
That's right, yeah.
There was an interview between with Snyder and Bendis.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, that's fun.
Bendis said that issue 6 will give you some idea. It's not going to answer everything, and it may be what you're looking for, but you'll get some idea as to where they are and what kind of is going down.
All right, well,
So,
whatever.
Just letting you know, and that like certain characters are going to be more explored in one title versus the other.
Yes, I've heard that, which is
So,
fine, because there's
yeah.
multiple Superman titles anyway. That makes sense. I'm
Right.
fine with that. Mm-hmm. So, what happened in Man of Steel number 2?
This book was kind of all over the place.
Was it? Because the art really was indicative of that.
Yeah, I mean,
We
like
got like at least 3 different Superman stories in this.
you really do. I mean, like
If not 4,
naturally, this starts off with like the whole like. It's not even aftermath. It's like sort of aftermath of like that Galactic Council.
Yes.
You know, and Rogolzar, and how like some of the members are like, "Hey, it's really suspect that we sent you. What the heck's his name? Because it's like really long.
Oh, the
Because they said it twice. Appa Ali Apsa.
yes.
Because he says it 2 times, like it just rolls off his tongue.
Oh, right.
Like you went to go talk to Rogolzar to tell him that no, and then all of a sudden,
Krypton's destroyed.
That's weird.
That's weird. It's very convenient, you might say.
It's almost like
you made a big PowerPoint presentation about how crappy it is.
Yeah, and then you went out there, and then now it's gone, and now for some reason you won't tell me where the Green Lantern of that sector was.
Yes, which is actually a fair point to make, and it's been made before. And
Yeah.
there was a Green Lantern. First of all, I think there was a Kryptonian Green Lantern, and secondly, there was a Green Lantern in that sector. But it's very weird and kind of like hand wavy, because when they blew up Krypton, there were no Green Lanterns.
Yeah,
so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
But when it was folded, when all of DC became one continuity, they were
Right.
like, oh, hey, you know what? There should have been a Green Lantern in that sector. What the hell?
Oops.
Yeah, and they did cover it, but I wonder if Bendis read it or if he just read the Wikipedia about it.
Right. So, you know, he mentions like he's like, look, if what you're accusing me of is correct,
which is true, and he's definitely acting like that,
that like you really should be afraid because he just destroyed
a whole planet,
Krypton, and you think like that's going to stop him from going after you if you follow this line of questioning. So like he leaves, Crystal Guy leaves.
I'm so disappointed, by the way, that Bendis isn't writing like a Guardians book or a Green Lantern book, because he and I are thinking on the same wavelength in terms of the Guardians, and they're being massive hypocritical dicks.
Yeah.
And like bureaucratic pains in the ass.
Right. So then Apsa goes to
Rogolzar's like weird elephant graveyard planet.
Yeah. And like he finds like the remains of something, and I think he just assumes that Rogolzar died in the explosion on Krypton.
He definitely thinks Rogolzar killed Krypton, and he thinks that he may have died in the process.
And he's like, that's good.
That would work out great for me.
Oh man, I'm just gonna go home and put my feet up because I deserve it.
Yeah, I worked really hard. I talked to a crystalline entity, and I almost talked to Rogolzar.
I danced around all of the questions and stuff like that.
As I should, as is the right and privilege of a Guardian.
Exactly. In the newsroom, we just see
Perry is
Robin.
Yes, Robin Good.
Robin, is it Robin or Robinson?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I don't care.
Well, you'll have to care if you're reading action.
That's right.
But she's desperate to find out, like...
the story.
Yeah, what's going on between
Lois and Clark.
And Perry's really upset because everybody keeps asking about the office.
Yeah.
Lois's office. And he's just like, well, you write as good as her, then we'll be fine. And we find out later on that the newspaper has been purchased.
Yes.
And that, like, they need to prove that they're relevant, otherwise they're going to be kind of ripped apart.
Yeah.
And, like, very little of it will be left, if any of it. And... essentially, he's like we have to dig deeper. Like, basically, we need to be Lois, and we're not. None of us are Lois, and we need that right now.
Yes.
And so another reporter comes in and says, like, well, then what the story we have to tell is what happened between Lois and Clark.
Which is like, who cares? I mean, they were like, no, the real, like, who cares about Superman stopping arson or Toyman? What we really want to know is, what's the story with Lois and Clark?
Right, well, her point is that, like, everyone else, like, live news, you know, all that, they're covering what's going on with Superman as it's happening.
Right.
You know, like, they have an exclusive because they have Clark.
Or a sweet video.
Yeah.
Because Perry makes the point of, like, everybody, and he makes the same point in Ultimate Spider-Man, by the way.
Yeah.
But, like, 10 years earlier, that everybody's a reporter, everybody's got a phone in their pockets with, like, an HD camera. Like, you don't need the newspaper anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, basically, like...
So that's the drama of the Daily Planet.
That's that drama. Superman is, like... or Clark's there during that, and then he leaves.
Yep.
And he ends up fighting, you know, a giant robot.
Yes.
And it's Toyman, but it's not the Toyman that, like, I thought it would be.
It's not any Toyman you think of. It's another Toyman.
Yeah, it's the...
there's a Toyman that says, Tuchus!
And he's a villain, and, like, it's like... Superman's like, why don't you just put your, you know, talents for good, and and, like, basically we get the, like... image of Superman fighting a giant robot.
Yes.
Very classic.
And we
very old classic.
And it's Superman being like, okay, so I beat the robot, but I also want to have a moral victory as well.
Yeah.
Like, you're such a genius, you can build these giant robots, why don't you do that for good?
Yeah.
And I'll cite Sauron, I don't want to cure cancer, I just want to turn people into dinosaurs. Like, I saw this already in All-Star Superman, when he says, like, you could have saved the world if you cared.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was really, really competently done. But, but let's do it again with Toyman and Superman. And, by the way, it doesn't work.
It is the Toyman.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes,
he says that specifically, because Superman just refers to him as Toyman.
Right. He's like, no, it's the Toyman.
It's just like,
well, I don't care.
Exactly.
By the way, really quick, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Wookie Drew, who said thanks as always, guys.
Oh, thank you, Wookie Drew.
Thank you, Wookie Drew, as always. Also, the Red Samurai saying, best version of Toyman is from the animated series. Same goes for Brainiac. No question about that.
Yeah. I agree.
Creepy Mr. Rogers Toyman and awesome evil robot that may have killed Krypton or let Krypton die.
Right? Like, the Toyman, who may be an original or whatever, which would make sense because Bendis would read something super old and then put that in there.
Yep, that's exactly
Seems like the kind of villain that the Riddler would want to punch in the face.
Oh my god. Yeah, Riddler'd be like, you have so many resources and money! I wish I could have your stuff, you loser.
Exactly. And then, like, Hal shows up.
Yes.
And he's just like, hey.
What up?
What's going on? You missed
because Toyman's attacking his city instead of
but he's really there to be like, you missed a Justice League meeting.
Yeah. Buddy, listen, even though I've never been to a Justice League meeting because I'm Hal Jordan, and Bendis didn't read that, already we're getting the Bendisisms, but he's like, hey man, you missed the meeting.
Maybe John Stewart mentioned it
Yeah, he's like, and
they're having like a working thing, and they're just like, I can't believe it. Superman doesn't even show up anymore. Like,
you know what?
Because he's Superman.
Hell, you're never here. Tell him he missed the meeting and see what he says. See if he even knows you're supposed to be there or not. In our version, Jean Jones is incredibly passive aggressive.
Oh, I was saying Jon Stewart was telling him.
Oh, yeah.
Like he and Hal are having like a working
right,
thing.
exactly. He's like, and Superman didn't even show up.
Oh, because he's so much better.
Yeah. See if you can tell the difference between the two of us. Also, Alejandro Madrid saying, loving the live off the rack. Keep being awesome, guys. You keep being awesome.
Oh, thank you so much.
But yeah, so Hal shows up, and it's all a ruse just to find out what's going on because he's noticing there's something wrong with Superman. He's like, you're getting weird, man.
Yeah, and like he too kind of wants to know what happened
between
him and Lois.
Turns out the real story is Lois and Clark.
Exactly. There's another fire.
Yes.
In the city somewhere. He can't figure out what it is. And apparently, according to that DC Nation article, like very quickly perused.
Yeah.
It's going to be something where Superman's powers, it's solo tech, Superman's powers can't help him with it.
Okay, cool.
So I was like, that's kind of fun.
I like that.
Making him do a Batman kind of thing.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know.
Or at the very least, like, if he wants to fight crime, he needs to be a smart person to do it. You can't just, like, punch somebody.
Yeah. So then we do get, like, after Hal...
Excuse me.
It's live.
Live, haha. I do it every week. I do it every episode.
Yeah.
Also did that.
Yes, you did. After Hal has a conversation with him, like, Superman flies away, like, really aggressively and fast.
He's like, no, everything's totally cool. What would be the problem? Just bails.
He's just like, you take care of the mess I made.
And as he bails, he also is like, thank you very much for the blessings. He also goes like, I don't know why I blew up Hal like that. I don't know why I'm being so sensitive about this secret thing.
Right? So, like, Superman's partially kind of like, it's not a big deal, but then anytime anyone talks to him about it, he's just like,
It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all.
Yeah, exactly. And we get, like, this flashback,
Jason Fabok
the next panel from the last flashback we saw.
Yes.
Where it's, like, a
thing? Like a bug?
Machine?
Yeah, it looks like a weird segmented machine.
It does. It also... Yeah, I was like, it's either a giant face mask or like some sort of cocoon metal thing.
I had the exact same, what the hell am I looking at?
Yeah.
And Fabok's an amazing artist, so like it's deliberately made to look like, I don't know what the hell this is.
Right, exactly. And then we go to a crazy space bar.
Yes.
Like, literally, it's just a crazy space bar.
I'm
it's like,
shocked Lobo was not in
I was going to say, this is the kind of place Lobo would hang
Utterly
out.
shocked, just because how could Bendis have resisted doing that?
Yeah.
He does, and we're in a bar. Mr. Mind shows up, which is fun.
Right.
But weird.
But,
weird pull.
The bartender there is like, she like is this shadowy figure who we couldn't possibly figure out who might be in space right now.
It's Raul Gulzar.
I know.
Like, we all know. Like, but it's like, oh, who is it? Like, we just... Yes, Ambush Book. Thank you. Ambush Book shows up.
She's like, oh, like each year basically he shows up and they have a drink and whatever, right?
Yes.
And while she's pouring the drink, like he notices that like there's like a kind of a hullabaloo going on, and that like apparently, as she calls him, Superman.
Yes, because she has a crazy accent.
Yeah. Has shown up, and there's like the
crest.
Yeah, the crest is there.
The sigil of Superman.
Yeah.
The House of El.
The House of El. And a Rubik's Cube is next to it, too.
Right.
Is there, and we find out that, of course, that it's Raul Gulzar, and you see his face reflected in it.
Yes.
And he hops on his sweet motorcycle and rides off, and presumably that is what is going to lead to what we saw in DC Nation Zero.
Which was expertly drawn by Jim Lee.
Yeah, exactly. But I just love the fact that he has to have a motorcycle, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because he's a badass. Badasses ride motorcycles and have crazy faces.
Exactly.
And mysterious backstories.
Yeah, so pretty much like,
the gossip columnist agrees with the new Bendis. I think they're both new Bendis characters, by the way. So the new Bendis character is the other new Bendis character that the real story is Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
And she goes to Perry and she's like, we need to do this story.
Yeah, and like it's not gonna happen. But like this book is doing so much to just set up all these plot threads that are going to be explored in other books, and I find the past years just to be very unsatisfying.
Agreed.
And I know it's very early on, and so typically you know, sure, you're gonna feel like that, but like this is like unsatisfying in the way where I have no faith
that any of this is going to hold water.
Right. So
it's a lot of... Yeah, I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
Oh, no, it's just... I'm a little concerned about this right now. It's just... It's too many plot threads to have in this one book.
Yeah.
Instead of just letting the other books unfold.
Yeah. If Bendis was 10 years younger he might have had the confidence to just do one Superman title and blow the doors off it.
Yeah.
But this Bendis is like, I need to prove myself. I took over all of Superman, and I took it from one of the most celebrated runs over the last 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
So I'm going to establish not only like all these new characters I'm creating, but that I've got like really great new ideas for the old characters that I'm inheriting. There's a lot of crazy stuff that Bendis is just shoehorning in. He's taking over like a million different things. It feels the artist problem is very superficially indicative of the overall problem.
Yeah.
The art doesn't match with the story. That suddenly changes for no reason. All the stories like heel turn in inappropriate moments with unsatisfying results, and so at the end of the day, you're like, why did I spend $4 on this?
Yeah.
And I think that's very much indicative of the problem, and I think that the fact is, because DC went all in on Bendis, you're just going to have to hang in there and get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that maybe once he gets a little more comfortable, he'll relax a little bit, you know, and he won't feel like you said, like he has to prove himself.
The fact that he's setting up multiple titles in this one title makes this book both indispensable, you need it to know what the hell's happening, and you would never want to read it because it's all set up. This will be the worst trade paperback in the history of Superman.
Well, maybe it won't. I mean, apparently we'll get some idea of what's going on by issue 6.
Right, but I don't care because then it's over.
Yeah.
It just feels like a mess.
Yeah, it's
and
like...
it looks like one too.
It's weirdly, like, it's indisposable and yet entirely disposable.
Absolutely. No.
And so it's like in this very nebulous place right now.
Agreed. So, overall, can you recommend Man of Steel #2?
I can't recommend it on its, like, quality, but in its necessity.
Right. I say no. I say skip it. I think that if Bendis wants to prove himself, he should write a damn good Superman story.
Right.
And if he's not going to do that, or if he's going to do that later and it requires like 3 different series and a free issue to set up all the stuff for him to give you a satisfying story, that ain't enough.
Yeah.
When Ultimate Spider-Man was a book, there weren't like 3 other Ultimate Spider-Man books, and one of them was a miniseries that set up all the stuff that could make Ultimate Spider-Man satisfying. Same goes for Jessica Jones. Same goes for everything else he's written that was good. One of my recommendations reflects old Bendis that works.
Oh.
And it ain't this. So I say no. I say, if you don't like what's going on with Superman, and you're not on board for Bendis's like mantra of, I want to make you nervous. If you're not on board, don't buy it.
Yeah.
And say, I'm not going to read that. No, I liked this. I'm going to buy the trade of Tomasi and Gleason's run. I'm going to buy the Jurgens run. But I'm not buying this. I'll buy Doomsday Clock. I'm not picking this up.
Yeah.
Like, I'll wait. I'll wait until it's over. I'm going to trade wait on this, which would really hurt it, by the way, because you need to order and pre-order, and you need to get the singles in order to make the trades like a thing. No, I say no.
Wow.
I think it's too. Arrogant.
Well, that's fair. What book you want to talk about next?
Doctor Strange.
Okay.
I think everybody wants to know what your thought is because
nobody cares about what my thoughts.
They did not. You did not care. Okay, so you read Aaron's run.
No one has heard me talk about Strange in a while.
No, that's true.
No, I read Aaron's run. I read Hopeless's run. I read Kate's run. I read Damnation, and now we're here.
Yeah, and now we're here. Mark Waid resuming his his Doctor Strange stuff.
It's not like this is his first
trip
into like mysticism.
No,
here.
Waid likes Marvel Comics. He's read a bunch of them. He's written a bunch of them, and he even wrote his own Doctor Strange miniseries when he had his title stripped away from him by himself.
Yes.
During that weird time when Bendis was writing the Avengers.
Yeah. So I didn't know what to expect from this. I went out there saying like I was cautiously excited for this only because he had written it before.
Right.
But no,
you weren't really that thrilled with the miniseries either. The Doctor is Out.
I wasn't super thrilled.
You were like, it's fine.
It was fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
But to be fair, and I know a lot of people liked Kate's run.
Yes.
I liked it better than Hopeless, but I wasn't impressed.
No, I was not surprised.
I was not impressed with that run. At all. I didn't care for Damnation.
No.
At all.
No, unless you're a big Ben Reilly fan.
Or like, I I got my thoughts on that. We're not even going to get into that. We're not even going to get into that, everybody.
No.
But
by the way, is this a number 1 or is this an actual? Is this a legacy title?
This is number 1.
Oh, they retitled it. Okay, yeah.
But it says Legacy 391.
Okay, cool, good. All right, yay.
So it has both. It's 1 and 391. So you're good.
Yeah. Written by Mark Waid with art by Jesus Saiz.
Yes. Art's really fun. Like really classic comic booky looking. We haven't seen that in Strange in a while.
No.
Chris Bachalo has a very specific style for Aaron's run. I really like that. And then from there, it's like
it's a sea of fill-in artists.
It is, and it's a lot of hit or miss. Like that last issue for Kate's. I know you thought I was going to really dig it.
I thought you would like the art.
I didn't really like the art.
Really?
I didn't super enjoy it.
His Spider-Man was the worst.
Yeah, the panels were so. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the Waid book. It was fun to see some classic Strange right in the beginning.
Yeah, when I read that, I was like, oh. Mark Waid's like, everything that you read, I'm gonna throw it in the garbage. He's got the cape, he's got the I thought it was current continuity.
No, if that had happened, and initially I thought that too, and I was annoyed. So anyway, let me tell you what happens at the beginning.
Yes, please.
This book starts off in the past. We don't know it's in the past at first. It's literally Strange going up against an elder god and like being arrogant and doing magic and doing the whole thing, right? And then it's like 7 years later, and it's like Strange in like a very like cool looking version of Bachalo's world where like they took the Bachalo idea of like the black and white with all the crazy stuff when he's seeing into the mystic realm.
Yes.
And Waid's saying that after everything that's happened, Strange is losing his ability
to see,
to use magic.
Yes. Strange is losing his ability to use magic.
Now let's talk about that for a second. Strange is losing his ability to use magic, almost as though Waid doesn't know that we just did a story where magic was really super diminished and he couldn't use magic, except that he's visually calling back to that time period when that happened.
I think Saiz read it and Waid didn't.
I think Waid did, and he wanted to tell the story.
He just wanted to do it again?
He's like, no, I wanted to tell the story where Doctor Strange lost his magic. I had a better one.
Bendis did that too.
Yeah.
Like, everybody apparently has Doctor Strange is a cool character. What if we took away the thing that makes him interesting?
How about this? I've got a better story than that.
They literally just did.
I just have a story. I have a story.
But they literally just did. Jason Aaron makes Doctor Strange lose his ability to use magic.
Yeah, and then he doesn't get his magic. And then he loses his magic. Unconnected, and like it's never happened before. Kind of. Yeah, except that they mentioned that he's had a hard time. Like a hard couple
That is the
years.
Maximum amount of callback that Waid gives.
He's just having a hard time. So we see Strange like being not able to read spell books anymore. We hear that he gets lost in his own home because like
it's a labyrinth.
Right, but then like also the house loses its magical elements to it as well.
Just becomes a house.
Other magic users are fine, so it's really just Strange.
Yes.
Like there's something wrong with him.
Now that's a neat idea that just Strange is cut off from magic. Yeah. That maybe it was a deliberate attempt.
Exactly. I guess.
And I'd be fine with that. But it doesn't feel like that.
I don't know. I think that's exactly like they're just being like he's like, no, I just want to do a story where Strange has magic and goes into space.
Yes.
I'm not spoiling anything there. It's on the cover. So Strange reaches out to his magical friends. They have no help for him. And then the next place he turns
is
Tony Stark.
Yes.
Which I'm like, okay. And his reasoning is because Tony Stark has hit rock bottom. Before. You have...
Yeah, and so has Doctor Strange.
I know. It's just so funny because he says it in this way where it's just like... He's just like, you suck.
Yeah. Hey, you've completely thrown your life into the garbage before.
On multiple occasions.
How do I get over it? Except, literally, that is Doctor Strange's character. He loses everything and hits rock bottom and then becomes Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
He knows this.
Yeah, so like Really, in my opinion, like, Strange doesn't try anything, because he should have gone back to the Ancient One's temple.
Right.
Like, he should have retraced his steps.
That would have been really cool.
Figured out what happened.
Right.
But Mark Waid's not going to do that, everybody.
Well, because he wouldn't be able to go into space.
Yeah, unless the temple was in space.
Which it isn't.
It's not. So, Tony Stark basically is just like, you know, first of all, he makes fun of him not being able to actually do magic. He's just like, no, what you're doing is using blah. But he's just like, here's the thing. You're trying to fix it by, like, being here and, like, doing nothing. I say instead, you like, oh no, because he asked him, what would you normally do? And he's like, I would like probably go to another dimension or whatever, right? And he's just like, well, you can't do that now. But instead what you could do is take this cool spaceship that looks like my Iron Man suit, and you can fly into space, and you can meet other Sorcerer Supremes that are out there.
Except, like, space is still in our dimension.
Yeah.
So he is the Sorcerer Supreme of our dimension.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. That could just be Tony talking out of turn.
I mean, easily.
Yeah, so
which is
like,
fine. So we'll take the inaccuracies.
Strange is just going to go and talk to other magic users, I guess, which are better than our magic users. Maybe they have, like, some insight. Wade just wants to have a Strange in space adventure.
Yes, and he didn't want to just have it open where Strange loses magic and then gets abducted by aliens.
Right.
Which would have been, like, more to the point.
Right? Or, like, he has to, like, or, like, the Vishanti show up and say, you have to go to space.
Right. That would have been cool. No.
You gotta go. There's a huge problem.
I wonder what DeMatteis would have done if they asked him to write Doctor Strange again.
It would have been wild and out there.
Yeah.
So, regardless, he gets in this spaceship that looks like
Iron Man.
Looks like Iron Man became a spaceship. He shows him, like, Tony shows him how to fly it.
Yep. Which I like the callback. He mentions that he
doesn't like to drive.
Yeah.
And it feels like, it's uncomfortable.
It gives him anxiety.
Yeah.
And also he can't use his hands very well anymore.
Right, because he was using magic to, like, keep things together.
Still.
Now he can't anymore. So that's cool, but, like, you're sending this guy into space with no crew. It's not even like he threw, like, some sort of robot in there with him to make repairs. Tony, what is he going to do?
No.
If the ship breaks down, he's just like, well, I put in a course, and everything always goes stellar when you go in space.
Yeah, the last time that Tony Stark threw a fellow Avenger into space, it worked out great. It didn't result in World War Hulk.
This goes good. Good work, Tony. So he sends him into space, and immediately an asteroid comes out of nowhere and hits the ship, and it careens into a planet he's not supposed to land on, and like these like robot flying things like catch the ship, make it land, and like he comes out and like Strange is like, hello,
hi.
I know I look like Iron Man because when you put a mustached guy in a red suit, the only thing that's keeping him looking like
his temples are
his
gray.
temples are graying. And he's just like, hey, I'm looking for some of your magic users. Like, that's like, there's no small talk here for Strange.
No. Hi, I'm losing my magic and I need some help. Has anybody got anything?
Right? And so they just arrest him. They just arrest him and they put him in like a space jail.
Yeah.
And that's how the issue ends.
Yes.
So like, right now, this is not stellar.
No.
Even though it's supposed to be because it's in space.
Oh, I see. Stellar. Well, yes.
And presumably he's going to get some sort of crew at some point. I'm sure he'll meet some chick, because like there's a female of these aliens, and it's like, they're like, oh no, we don't really do magic here, but like I do, and like I'll help you get out if you teach me how to do magic.
Yep, it'll be Green Lantern Earth 1, Volume 1, where he's like, he meets somebody who doesn't know how magic works, but they discovered by accident, and then they're like, train me, and he's like, I don't have it anymore, and then they train each other, and then...
Yeah. And like, here's the thing.
And then the book will get canceled.
It could be a fun adventure, right? It's just, this feels like an adventure that could be for any other character.
Yes.
And like, Strange...
You could have literally done with the Spider-Man, actually.
Right? But like, Strange has been in such a weird place lately without having a consistent writer and a consistent story.
And he hasn't been back yet.
Yeah. That, like, I feel like this is not the time for this tale.
No. But, here it is.
And yeah, so... overall, like, he has a decent voice for Strange.
Yeah, when he does talk, because most of the book is narration, which is, like, fine.
Yeah.
I thought it was nice. The way in which the narration is handled, it's more like third person, where it's like they talk about the Doctor and the Iron Man, or with lowercase letters and everything, which in any other hands would have felt really, really bad. But instead is fine.
Yeah.
Because Wade isn't... Like, Wade is a good writer, so he knows how to write. So the writing is good.
Yeah.
That said, I don't care for the pitch.
Yeah, I think, again, for me, it's just timing. This is just bad timing for this story.
Well, and also, you know that no one else is going to refer to it. So if there's a big event in the next, like, week or two, Doctor Strange will be in it, and he'll have magic.
Yeah. I mean, like, maybe they're putting him into space because they're trying to set up something with the Fantastic Four coming back. Yeah. But I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Joel and I did pitch a Doctor Strange in space idea. Like, on the Elseworlds Exchange months ago.
Okay.
And so, for me to say, this idea sucks, is very hypocritical because I pitched it already. But, this execution is not what I would have done, but it's also, like, I agree now that I'm thinking about it in the context of, like, this. Like, after Aaron, and then Hopeless, and then Kate's, and now this, there needed to be a period.
A breather.
And Hopeless was supposed to be the breather, but that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Then Kate's was supposed to do the breather, and then Kate's got more work, and so that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. And like Kate's entire... Hopeless and Kate's both runs were tied to other events that were going on. Yeah. So like Kate's did a little bit, and then he was part of the Damnation event that was going on, and then the rest of that book was tied completely into that. So like Strange hasn't had a status quo since Aaron. Right.
And that status quo was disrupted by the plot.
Yeah.
So, it's weird. The story is well executed. It's too bad that it's on the heel. If Jason Aaron did not have a run, this would be very interesting.
Yes.
Like if there was no Last Days of Magic.
Or if they had, instead of wasting Hopeless's run on a tie-in.
Right. If this was then?
Or no, I was going to say if Hopeless's run was instead the status quo, like, this is Strange, like working towards like getting his magic back and whatever. And so we get like that, and then he gets his magic back, and then we have Kate's run where it's just... Where
he tries to like, where he overput,
Or he's just maybe just using standard magic. And then we had this, it'd be like, okay, this is a little like meh, but like, sure we just kind of saw something similar, but like, you would have had that like, okay.
It'd be really cool, because there's nothing you can do to convince me that Wade read Aaron's run. If you look at this book, it would be really cool if, and it sucks because like most writers don't want to refer to the other work, even though you're in the Marvel universe, so it's like you have to because it's all interconnected.
Yeah.
But like it'd be nice if Strange hits rock bottom so fast because he's like, I just started getting magic back.
Yeah.
If it was more of a context of like, it would be like getting into a car accident and then like 2 weeks later you get into another car accident.
Yeah.
Like if that was the story where like Strange is like, I don't get, if he felt like Peter Parker, where he's like, I just did this, like I just got my life back together, and then it falls apart, that'd be really cool. I think that'd be better.
Yeah.
Because then you're dealing with a desperate Doctor Strange instead of like a Doctor Strange who's like, who has memory lapses. Where he's like, I'm doing this, and then I did this, and who cares? And there's seemingly no coherency or connectivity between all those stories.
Right. So I'm not going to not read this, because I'm going to see where it goes,
you gotta see how it goes.
But like, I just wish that it was Wade with a different pitch, or this story just came at a different time.
I agree. Yeah, like, I think it would have been stronger if it was something else. But, yeah.
So, all right, I don't want to harp on that, because it's like, I'm not upset, and I'm not telling people not to read it.
No, yeah. So do you recommend it?
It's so early on, it's always hard for me to do that. It's an interesting jumping on point for Strange, because like if you haven't been keeping up, it's not really referencing much of what happened.
It doesn't reference anything. It straight up doesn't. Like, it really doesn't.
But you know what I mean? Like, so like if you were looking for a gateway into this and you like space stories,
you're gonna love
this. Could totally be for you 100%. So like, don't take my negativity towards it as a reason not to read it. My negativity comes because I've been reading it and I'm like very confused as to what the goal is.
Yes, it's almost like
there isn't one.
It's almost like they're just trying to push a new agenda at the expense of current readers.
It could be. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. So, like I said, it's entirely up to you if you want to check this out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I thought it was fine, and because I pitched it, I guess I've got to say I recommend it, but I'll give it another issue or two.
Yeah.
And this is a good transition for us to say Super Comic Fanboy 616 says this book should have been called Sword and Sorcery.
Okay, well, first of all, Super Comic Fanboy 616, I love that name, and that would indicate that he'd be teaming up with Sword.
Which is what our pitch was.
Which would have put Abigail Brand in the book, which, that's the comic book couple I want to see.
That was my pitch. It was that he joined Sword. It would have been way, way more cool and more Marvel.
Yeah.
This is more like I think Wade read Into Shambhala and wanted to do like a space version of that, where he's like, no, it's getting into the nitty gritty. Like, it's going to be Strange, like throwing himself into pits full of tentacle monsters and then like finding himself in another plane of existence.
No offense to Mark Waid, but you can't write that crazy DeMatteis like stuff. That's very much DeMatteis' bag, and it's not for everybody.
No, that's fair. So, how many books do we have left? I think we just have the one, right?
And I actually have an indie, so we could do that.
Oh, great.
Now,
yeah, okay. All right, fine. Yeah, let's do it.
So I haven't talked about indies in a while.
No, it's
true. Last week, a book by the name of Isola came out. I've been really enjoying the series. Number 3 came out, so number 4 won't be available until July. I'm trying to get the creative team, but of course I didn't have it ready because it was my Comixology was at the end of the book that I just enjoyed.
Yeah, we haven't done an indie pick in a while.
But like this one, I was like, oh man, wait, I can chuck this out there because like the book itself is a visual treat. It is so beautiful. And it's written by Brendan Fletcher and Carl Kerschel with art by Karen Kerschel and Misasik.
Oh man, this is like saying the Wookiee homeworld.
Yeah.
Misasik.
I'm so sorry. I'm just garbage.
Yeah, I've heard of Carl Kerschel before. Or Kerschel before.
Seriously, like if for nothing else, like the book's just
awesome to look at.
It's just awesome to look at. The covers are great. Everything about it is just awesome.
What issue is this?
This is issue 3.
Oh.
It's like it's one of those books where there's plenty of pages, but when it's over, you're like, oh, I wish there was more. It's like it's one of my current favorite stories that's going on in all of comics. I'm just super enjoying it. It has a sort of not exactly, but it makes me feel like it's like this weird alternate reality Ghibli movie.
Oh, okay.
Very much like lots and lots of lore, lots of like kind of just throwing you into the deep end, but like while things are happening, people are talking about things, like you just become comfortable and start to understand what it is that they're referring to.
Okay.
The overall story so far has just been that there is this woman named Rook. She is or was part of the Queen's Guard, and she's traveling through these lands, these like amazingly like rendered lands with this really cool looking tiger, and the tiger is like this navy blue with like these really cool bright like cyan stripes all over it.
That's cool. Okay.
And like she talks to it all the time and like calls it Your Majesty and stuff, and as it turns out the queen was turned into a tiger somehow, and she's like, the Queen's Guard is like, I can't bring you back to where we came from because they'll kill you on sight. It's like kind of like Brave in that sense.
Yeah.
But like also there are all these like crazy hunting tribes who are always hunting animals.
Okay.
And so like she has to keep it away from them, and her plan is, I have to get you to Isola and that'll fix it, because Isola is like seemingly like a mythical afterlife or like a mythical place, or just she's like, that's what's gonna fix it.
It's just taking you to
I gotta get you there. But, like, nobody knows if it actually exists.
Okay,
and she's just like, but I got a plan. Kinda, not really. And as the book progresses on, we realize that she and the Queen had a bit of a relationship as well. So this is, like, kind of twofold.
Yes,
and the Queen,
we see why the urgency is there.
Yes, and the Queen's brother has been murdered, and we're not sure who did that. But, like, the indication might be it was Rook.
Oh.
So, like, there's all these, like, layers upon layers upon layers. There's a lot of magic going on. There's this amazing splash page in the first issue that's like this, I want to say this crazy like black bird, like giant, like mythical beast that like has died.
Okay.
And like, this is what, other than everything else that where it's like steeped in legend, and you have the like, you know, you have no gateway character like you do with a lot of Ghibli films. Like,
right, no. Yeah, there's no like innocent person who's never seen whatever we're looking at.
Yeah, but like this like feeling about it, the look of it, the beauty of it, the natural like elements to it, the magic,
yeah,
we got all that. And then in the very beginning, there's this scene where she and the Tiger Queen, I think Olwen,
okay,
they have to like get out of the way quickly because there's this stampede of all these animals.
Okay.
Much like in Princess Mononoke when the boars attack. And these animals have like that sort of like avatar, sort of like
not hodgepodge type.
Yeah,
animals.
Exactly. But like not quite like hybrids. They're just kind of like different designs. It's like
so it's like it's a zebra, but it's a little different.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a zebra monkey or something.
Some of them are and some of them aren't. Like there's like a I want to say like a boar kind of thing, and it's like looks like it kind of is like a rhino horn, but it really looks like a boar.
Okay.
But then there's a goat that has like deer legs.
Oh, that's neat.
That's neat, right? So like they're all like running, and like it turns out they're running to that thing and they're eating it, even if they're herbivores.
Oh.
And like I'm like, what is that all about?
Yeah,
I'm like,
why are they doing that?
And there's no explanation.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So like I'm really digging it. It's just really a beautiful looking story. There's just so much like awesome magic and fantasy and just like so much to unravel in it, and like the pacing's really good.
Okay.
Like the story pacing, I'm so into it, and like I wish I hadn't just torn through issue 3 because like now I have to wait.
Yes.
I'm in the same boat that
they've at least got 6 issues coming out. I think 6 is slated for August.
Yeah. So Sola is definitely my indie pick, not only of the week, I think of the month and of the year so far. Like, I've just been blown away by this book.
Cool.
So,
okay.
There you go.
Well, that sounds nice. Well, I guess we can talk about this book now. Scott Snyder and Jim Chung's Justice League #1.
Yeah, I got this one. This one was sent to us.
Yes, it was.
But that's why, like, if you have, this is like a weird cover.
Yeah.
It's one of those like exclusive to. It says it's the Warren Luo cover variant edition, presented by KRS Comics. So like,
it's like a comic store.
This is the one that we have. So I kind of like the image. It's fun.
It's cool. Yeah.
So
okay. This is what you've all been waiting for. What we've been all waiting for.
Yeah.
It's what probably wasn't ready, and so they needed to do Justice League No Justice to get it ready in time. The takeaway that I got from this is that Scott Snyder saw a lot of Super Friends cartoons.
No, they did that in JLU too.
Okay, no. I'm talking about, like, the look and the, like, insistence on stuff. It's like, okay, if you were a big fan of the JLU, or you were a fan of that show, or let's say you were a big fan of the you know what, we'll use it in my terms, Spider-Man cartoon from the 90s. People love that show. They love it. If a fan of that show, or a kid who grew up watching that show, became the Spider-Man editor, you can bet your boots that Felicia Hardy would suddenly become a huge... big character in the Spider-Man books, and she would be a big love interest for Peter Parker because, like, she was for no reason. You'd also see Deb Whitman come back, and all kinds of other things that people really, really enjoyed and remembered from that show.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is what happens when, like, Joe Quesada was like, I like Archie Andrews Peter Parker. I'm going to change everything that is and has been going towards because I want to see the thing I grew up reading and watching.
Yeah.
So, it, too, was Justice League. They... build the Hall of Justice. Now, that said, is it cool? Did it work? Yes. The Hall of Justice is a neat idea, also building off of the end of Justice League Unlimited, where they were like, okay, we're going to take out the whole watchtower in the sky thing. We're going to build it more grounded. They even open it up, make it a museum. They do power cool, iconic weaponry and images and make them like part of the menagerie that you can view for free from the public.
You too can take a selfie in front of
in front of the Rebirth Batman costume or like a defunct Mother box or whatever. A lot of really neat ideas. The idea that like the Justice League is getting down back on Earth, putting its feet on the ground with the people. And but there's also a secret hidden doorway that will lead you into like the Justice League meeting room.
Well, yeah, because you can't just have like
you can't have your headquarters of Justice League open to the public. They'll be all over the place.
Yeah, like this family of 4 like wandering in. Like,
yeah. Oh, honey, look, it's the Martian Manhunter, and he's like coordinating an environmental like rescue. You know.
Hey, can I get a picture?
Yeah, right. My kid really is a big fan of yours.
Oh, what a jerk! He's not taking a picture.
Oh,
of me.
He's ignoring me. The Red Samurai saying, "Love Justice League #1, but did not like the jokes at the beginning. I don't think Snyder is good at them, and nothing is worse than a bad joke. Also, the tension between John Jones and Luther sexual. It probably is. Lol. So we'll jump into it. Let's talk about what happens in this book.
Yeah,
they establish the Hall of Justice. I don't even remember any issue where they build it, but who cares? Moving on.
Well, no, because I guess at the end of No Justice they were working on the concept, but they were like, it's almost like they were building it out of that Brainiac ship thing.
Yes, because they use a special alloy and stuff. It doesn't matter.
So I don't know.
We get to see the Justice League coordinated via John's telepathy, so they can stop Vandal Savage's mutant subterranean Neanderthals, which is a neat idea that I'm sure I've seen a few times before.
Right.
But we get to see the whole Justice League depicted in like a cool isolated image. The double page 6-panel grid is really cool. 7-panel actually. Grid is really cool. The way they show us every member and watch them be cool.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know where Shire got her awesome costume from the cartoon. Kendra, I'm sorry. Yep, I'm thinking of the cartoon.
Yeah.
But Kendra gets her cool Shire costume off panel. And just all of the things.
I'm fine with it.
You know, unlike Bendis, they're like, no, it happened in between panels. Moving on.
Well, I mean, clearly at the beginning they show us all the costumes they had. Somebody's hanging on to these things. Like, look.
Yeah, that's true. These are all the current costumes, by the way, in the museum. I'm like, what are they wearing?
Somebody's hanging on to these somewhere.
But anyway, we get to see them fight and kick ass and coordinate and make fun of Batman.
Yeah, and his voice.
And his voice.
So, like, that's like the humor that Snyder puts in, and like
it was a dud.
It doesn't really hit.
Nope.
Especially because it's like they've just kind of started this.
Yeah.
They haven't they've used Jean one other time like this, so it's like I feel like they wouldn't be this.
No, I've seen the Justice League coordinated via Jean, written by Morrison and Busick, and both times in different stories they worked really well. In this, it didn't, and the jokes were very not good.
Yeah, and they're provided by characters that doesn't quite work for me.
No, there's like usually on the Justice League there's like one person who's funny, but everybody's like got a tight five about Batman. And it just didn't land, and like that, you know what, like I get it and I see the idea behind it because he wants it to feel lighthearted and fun, and you can do that without these really, really forced jokes. The art is phenomenal. It's Jim Chung's
it's great.
You know, really, really pushing it. The bat armor, everybody who wants to try Batman invents a new armor for Batman. I don't know if I like his bat logo headlamp thing, but whatever. Again,
branding.
Gotta brand it.
Batman is like the greatest brander ever.
It's true.
Like,
yeah,
he's
he knows.
so good at branding.
Yeah, but we get the whole book is really a story about John.
Yeah, so like part of me is like, yeah, that's awesome because I really like Sean.
Yeah.
So like I kind of appreciate them doing something with him. They took all this trouble to bring him back.
Yeah.
And to not do anything would be like, why'd you bother then?
Right. I mean, like, there is a funny moment that happens between Batman and Jean that works within the game because it's a character moment. And it works. Where Jean tells Batman to detonate his bombs that he keeps on the moon.
Yeah.
And Batman's like, why would I do that? And Jean just says, Bruce. And he's like, okay, fine. And you're like, yes. Like, I've been in your mind. We're friends. You're also Batman. You would absolutely have bombs on the moon.
Yeah, I know you do.
It's also very much a Snyder joke where it's like, Batman is impossible. I've read a lot of Grant Morrison, so I think that Batman is eternal and forever, and he does everything. So it's like, if you were like, Batman, I need to see the footage from that camera on that tree in South Florida. And he's like, why would I have a camera on a tree in some random place in South Florida? It's like, Bruce. And he's like, okay, activating camera D. And it's like, yeah, like, that's the joke. I get it. Like, Batman's everywhere and he does everything. But, like, it worked in the context of the story. Yeah. And it even worked in the wake of that really bad joke.
Right, but, like, that's all you needed. You did not need
all that.
The other stuff.
You know what's funny? I was thinking about this recently about writing comics and about, like, those moments that people like to scan or grab and throw up on Reddit, and where they're like, look at this.
Yeah.
And it's like, the artist got to draw this really cool thing, but the writer had to tell the artist, like, I want to see this.
Yeah.
And sometimes it really frustrates me when the artist or when the writer goes, I need to put my little brand on it. So there has to be text boxes over, or the speech bubbles over this really cool image. When really all I want to see is that moment.
Yeah.
Where, like, the line punctuates the art. Sometimes the art just tells the story.
Yeah.
And you're the storyteller, you trust your artist. I almost didn't need any dialogue at all in the 7-panel double page.
Yeah,
sketch.
I mean, maybe a little bit, but not the amount.
Yeah, maybe actually the Mark Waid narration would work better than the actual dialogue within this, where it's like the League banded together and the Neanderthals that reflected each of their powers. Blah blah. I don't know. I'm just coming up with it on the spot. But like the fact is, like, this was cool looking, and it felt really exciting, and I think it would have been more powerful to just look at it and just be like, yeah, look at all that, and then like maybe pour over it and be like, well, who are these people? Like, oh, there's fish Neanderthals, you know, they're Atlantean. Yeah. There's hawk Neanderthals or jetpack Neanderthals. Like, there's stuff I can really pull through here. You really only need the Justice League. And then here's the team, you know?
I think you need a little bit more personally, but, you know.
But you pull it back.
Yeah. And just before we go on, thank you so much to Joe D. Love the live off the rack.
Well, thank you very much. I'm loving it myself.
Right?
I like making this show.
Me too.
Anyway, the bad guy is my old good friend Red Herring.
Right? No, I mean, the bad guy is who you thought it was.
Vandal Savage.
But then we do a flip. Also, like, this is awesome.
Oh, yeah, the image of Marshman becoming a cool dragon.
Quanour?
Sure.
Quonar. He like cites it like anyone else knows what he's talking about. The Justice League.
Is it a Q with no U?
No, it's a Q with a U.
Oh, then it's a Quonar. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It's over there. It doesn't matter.
Point is,
but I just thought that was funny.
Yeah. So Vandal Savage had spent millennia developing these people for a purpose. I think he springs it early, and that's the whole point. Is that like they're not prepared?
Yes.
And so he springs his trap. The League defeats them, but the real problem is out there, and so Jean deals with that. Mm-hmm. And Vandal Savage is brooding, and then Lex Luthor shows up in his power suit, and he's a bad guy again. Yeah,
so it's like the plot is a little all over the place, but it's not, because it's meant to make you like
go, oh, whoa, whoa. It works a little better than the Man of Steel disjointedness.
Yes, because it's like Vandal Savage is attacking with Neanderthals, but then like they do something that triggers something in the moon that makes the Earth crust start to break apart.
Yes.
So then Mark Mando's got to stop that, so he stops that, so the Earth can pull itself back together and everybody can start like fixing things back, and like each of the Leaguers get someone to help like rebalance the ecosystem that they're in, essentially, and it's like awesome. And that's about the time that like Jean, who's been having like crazy visions, memory visions, the past? Which is like, that is so sad.
Oh yeah. So watching sad. Jean's wife and children die.
Yeah, especially his child die. Yeah, so sad. But like Jean realizes that there's like this crazy light comet that we see at the beginning, 85,000 years in the future.
Yeah.
And like how they're like, well, it's like the end of times, and like 5,000 years, and now it's all happening.
By the way, the opening page is really cool because if you compare it, you got top writers DC right now, Snyder, Bendis, etc. But like comparing the Man of Steel stuff, where it's like Bendis read a DC comic, Snyder read a DC comic.
Yeah, because he has three different timelines.
Yes,
here, including.
But he pulls from DC 1 Million. He pulls from Crisis. He pulls from Come On D. And he pulls the elders of the universe.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see that. Because as a Marvel cosmologist myself, like I like seeing that kind of stuff, and for me to recognize it and also be like, oh, and like you pulled some stuff that I would not have normally thought of, is a cool way to show your cred.
Yes.
And he does it in a way that felt like it works. Like it felt like it was earned.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the League meets in the Mindscape. Yeah,
essentially, like, Jean's like, we have to have an emergency mind meeting right now.
Which means, like, do the Justice League just go, like, in physical space and, like, the...
I think they're just staying there. I don't think they do that.
Can you imagine? They're just like, yeah, we saved the day!
Do we take their picture?
Like, I'm going to Batman. Because no one will think that he looks any different. Like,
so, like, you got someone next to Batman. Yeah.
So
that's going on Reddit.
Yeah. So the exactly. It'll be right next to sad Keanu, the distracted Batman. So the League has an emergency meeting, and like it's cute that the Hall of Justice looks like the logo of the thing that Jean is haunted by.
Yeah.
It's like a language that he's deciphering.
Well, it's like it's meant to be like they didn't have a word for justice; they had this. And and so like it means something to him, and he tries to. And he explains it to us. But at the end of the day, this comet, I'm calling it that because I don't know what else to describe it as.
Right.
Because it's way more than a comet.
It's right.
May or may not help everything or destroy everything.
Yeah.
They don't know.
But they do by the end of the issue, which is kind of like
because
weird.
Vandal Savage knows somehow, and it's like, how accurate is that?
Oh, right. No, I love that. It was also a great way to use Vandal. I hate Vandal Savage. I think he's boring and crappy, but like I really like that he's a character, and I think he's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that he exists, and I like his like history, but I like his use in this book, where it's like he's a plot device. He's like MacGuffin.
He really is. He truly is.
You've been around long enough. I'm just gonna pull from you. We all know how old Ra's al Ghul is, and we can't he's not that old.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, but Vandal Savage is, so I'll pull that information from his mind.
Exactly. So like they're basically having like a philosophical discussion within. They have about 5 minutes. Basically, to determine what they're going to do about this. Because I guess Vandal Savage's idea was to move the Earth.
Right. Away.
Yeah. But, like, in, like, the most destructive way possible.
Well,
and,
naturally.
Like, to be fair...
Well, I'm sure it lined up with, like, 6 other plans of his.
I'm just saying, like, here's the thing. If that was your plan, maybe this time you let the League in.
Right? Not a great plan.
Hey, guys.
Yeah. There's a big energy... Well, because then they would have had the meeting. You know, they were like, oh, a big energy thing. We better decide whether or not it's good or bad. Yeah. And then I've been like, No.
Okay, well, I'm gonna release my Neanderthals while you're having your meeting. So
what?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So they have a meeting about whether or not they should destroy it or not.
Yes.
Of course, Batman had this plan like 10 minutes ago, so he sends Jon Stewart into space.
Yeah, which, by the way, good on you for, like, Jim Chung for showing Jon Stewart actually making a cool construct, because I know it's always your critique of him in the show, is that he didn't make, like...
He was always just shooting lasers or making bands because it was easier to animate. Yeah. But it was like, he's the most unimaginative Green Lantern ever. Where it's like, make a slingshot, make a mousetrap, make a magnet, make something cool, man. And then they make reference to it in that great episode where they become children, where they fight Morgan. And he's like, I'm going to make a big robot. I'm going to do this. As a kid, he's got this huge imagination. Yeah. Which is funny how, like, uninteresting he becomes when he's older.
So it happens.
But he makes the coolest gun that I drew in 4th grade.
Yeah, it's like guns on guns.
Yeah, which is also frustrating. It's like that's exactly what this book is. It's awesome and sucks because like it's great. Why did Batman's like, yes, my whole stance is no guns. He convinces Simon Baz to abandon guns. Mm-hmm. And he's like, now Green Lantern, get the biggest gun, or 6 guns in 1 gun.
See, no, that's the thing.
Because you can shoot the gun, I can't. No, he has a problem with everyone with guns.
You can shoot a gun into a comet,
right? But then he's just proving that, like, no, you know what's really useful? Guns. They solve a lot of problems, and he's like, no, like.
Well, he's like, I'm not going to make a bow and arrow. Then Green
Why?
Arrow's
That would be great.
Like,
oh, wait, they did that already.
Yeah.
Because he just did that.
Yeah.
That's why it's a gun. Because he literally just wrote that in No Justice. Yeah, that's why. Okay, that explains it.
Can't be. Because I'll be like, again?
Again? Okay, you got it.
Well, you didn't use me again. Well, fine.
Well, you need me.
I can't breathe.
They should just make Green Arrow a Green Lantern already.
No. Just let Jon Stewart do his thing. I like him. I missed him. I'm glad he's back.
I'm just saying. I just think it'd be cool.
So, regardless, while this is all going down, they're having their, like, crazy mind meeting. Lex Luthor, like, popped into Vandal Savage's, like...
lair?
Yeah, well, his, what did they call it? The Legion of
Doom.
Yeah, of Doom. Okay, it is just that. I was like, is that right?
He calls it I think he calls it the Secret Society or something like that. But
that's not what it looks like. Because he mentions legions and stuff like that. So
well, no, because Luthor brings in the Legion of Doom, which is like,
meanwhile, like, that's basically the building that he's in, and that, like, somehow Luthor got the contract to build it. Right. I guess there were like 10 different shell companies, because how do you not notice that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so, like, he also has a magic doorknob. Mm-hmm. And so that's how he gets in.
Yeah.
And he's just like, so you suck.
And I'm going to beat you to death.
Yeah.
With, like, a rock.
Well, because he's old, so, like, that's, you know.
But, but anyway, so Luthor shows up and he's like, yeah, I'm moving in. Me and my rowdy friends.
Yeah, and you've got...
Which is like, the Joker, really?
Yeah, it's a Joker, I guess.
Right, it's one of the Jokers.
It's a Joker.
There's no way this isn't one of the 3 Jokers.
And Cheetah and Sinestro and, I guess, Grodd.
Yeah.
And Manta Ray, as Danielle likes to call him.
Yes, because she doesn't know Black Manta.
Manta Ray.
Yeah.
You know Manta Ray.
Right.
In his used boat store.
Yeah, because it's Black Manta and his, like, loser brother Manta Ray.
Yeah.
Come on down to Manta Ray's, where I sell boats.
Yeah. Black Manta's like...
You're the worst.
So we're getting.
What is Cheetah growling at?
I don't. Well, she's a cat. Maybe
I'm just saying, there's nobody around.
Maybe somebody had a spray bottle over there.
Yeah.
And they're like, psst. No. Don't like that.
Yeah. Anyway, they move in.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. It's fun to see something that classic. So that's.
Oh, but but there's a big thing. Hang on, no, like, so he's like, I got a damn legion.
Yeah.
And but they also, like, have something secret in the basement.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is it? And it's like, well, we'll tell you later.
Yeah, no time.
And something secret in the attic. I'm setting up all my things. I'm hanging up all my Chekhov guns.
He is. Well, it's also like, I like that because in that instance, it's Luthor being Luthor, like when he goes into, like, his villainous role, even when he's a hero. Yeah. Like that ego where he's just like, I built this place. So nearly like, yeah. Obviously, I know that there's a basement and an attic because I put them there.
Oh, I like that.
And you didn't know it this whole time. Ha 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 ha.
And you're old and smart, yeah.
And now I'm gonna beat you.
Yep, to death. So yeah. Anyway, so the League decides ultimately, like, what are we gonna do about this?
And they just tell Jean to make the decision. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not what being the chairman means,
right?
That's just kind of, calling the tie vote maybe. But like, this seems like everybody should be making this decision.
No,
together.
let's leave him hanging holding the bag.
Yeah, that way you can totally feel the guilt for this, John.
Yes, that way we can get rid of you, or you can feel guilty enough to leave the league.
You know, whatever happens.
When we decide to do that.
Who cares? So like, Jean makes a decision, and it's to
leave it alone.
Yes, to leave it alone.
Because maybe it's good.
He's made that choice, and as he's made that choice, and like they're gonna do it, Vandal Savage is bludgeoned to death,
and he
like lets loose a psychic scream essentially, and Jean like feels it and instantaneously gets all of this knowledge and memories from. There must be something on the lens of this thing,
right?
That fixed it. And he gets all the memories and like knowledge, I guess, of Vandal Savage, and he instantaneously realizes that they've made a mistake.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, we shouldn't. No, it's bad, actually."
Or he's not sure because he seems to be uncertain.
He tries to undo the mistake by calling everybody back, but the table's empty.
Yeah,
which is like, what? Why would that work? But anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah. So and then it makes a sound that sounds like doom.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. It's cool. So there's this thing that's coming that's like got lots of power and could end up.
Well, it's already here.
Right. I just mean like it's coming. Like it is in terms of like it'll manifest or it'll attach to a person.
And yet again, they mentioned the source wall leaking energy.
Yes.
And that energy, you know.
Yeah.
It's going to be a core, just like we said.
Yep. It'll be a ring.
The source wall will become a giant ring?
No, I just mean like this thing.
Oh,
when it lands, it'll be a ring.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I thought you were trying to tell me that somehow the source wall would...
become... it. Oh my god.
It's a giant ring itself.
The source wall is a ring around reality itself. There is no other side.
Yeah.
We called it if that happens.
That's
anyway,
not what's going to happen.
So, Justice League #1, like... I find it interesting because it does nothing to please any, like it doesn't go out of its way to try and like do and please you.
No,
it's doing it. I really respect Snyder for being like, I'm telling a story and I'm gonna tell it, and you're gonna buy it because like you're gonna buy it.
Yeah, because you want to read the Justice League, and I made the team that's from the Justice League show.
Yes.
So you want to see that? I'm like, you're right, I do.
Yeah.
And I am gonna read it, and I did enjoy this. It's like silly and often like kind of like whatever.
Yeah, like that's the problem. Ultimately for me, like it's fun and it sets up some neat stuff and I'm excited for the future of the DC universe. That said, I'm a little like ambivalent about it because the cool moments I'm supposed to go yeah felt like oh, and the moments that like didn't hit were like meh.
Yeah, but like and of course for me, like if you're a fan of Martian Manhunter, like I enjoyed this because it's like it's an interesting sort of character study of him.
Yeah.
You know, and like his fears about failing the team, his fears about like having failed, you know, his family and his people, you know what I mean? And now he made a choice that could have resulted in more failure and more death. So like I do appreciate that and enjoy where this could lead and like the character development that could occur from it. So
Agreed.
I think that's cool.
Yeah. So ultimately I think it's a pickup. I think you should read it. Especially because it is setting up the future of the DC universe, at least for the next, like, 2 years.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that Doomsday Clock also is, like, next year, so who knows? But if you don't care about that, or if, like, you want to talk about, like, what's happening in the cosmos, this is the book to pick up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you're a fan of the show, and you haven't really been...
If you're a fan of the show, this is not the book for you, because it's got everybody in it, but then nothing like the show happens in this book.
Right, but I was going to say, like, if you're a fan of the show, and, like, you know, maybe you're not looking for that continuity, but maybe you haven't been super interested in the Justice League before, like, this might be an interesting gateway for you, because it's not going to be exactly that at all. No. But at the very least, you'll know the players.
Yes. I agree. Yeah, that's fair. And it's a cool book.
Yeah.
So let's jump into some recommendations for books that are coming out this week that we think you should check out. Man, was it slim pickings for me because I am not going to recommend Man of Steel #3, but it is coming out.
Okay.
And instead, I'm going to recommend books that have already come out that are now going to be available.
Wow.
Defenders Volume 2, Kingpins of New York, which has art by David Marquez and is written by Brian Michael Bendis, is great. Okay. If you did not pick up Defenders, if you were on the fence about it, the trade is coming out. or rather, the trade for Volume 2 is coming out on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So you can pick that up.
It's definitely, I've read some of it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely one of those books where it's just like, hey, look, here's Bendis having a good time in doing something like strong.
Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah, it'd be nice for you to be like, oh, look at Bendis like writing a book that he enjoys.
Yeah.
It collects issues 6 through 10. Definitely check that out if you have not. The art is worth the price of admission alone. David Marquez is great. He is like all the things you like about Jim Chung, but without all the things you don't.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
Like, Jim Chung does these really cool things, but everybody's got the same face.
He's very stylized.
But Marquez does not have that problem.
Ooh, there you go.
Plus, he's usually teamed up with Ponzer, and so the coloring and the art looks phenomenal. So definitely check out Defenders, because it'll also send a message that says, I want to read that. I want to read more books like that.
There you go. For me, I am going to just quickly mention that. Remember when I mentioned Isola?
Yes.
This week, if you missed out on number 1 and 2, they're doing a second printing of the variants.
Oh, cool.
So, like, you still have a chance to go and pick it up in your local comic book store.
Yay.
Also from Image, if you're looking for another magical book, the Magic Order number 1 is coming out. It's going to be a 6-issue miniseries written by Mark Miller with art by Olivier Coipel.
Oh, that's nice.
So this is one of those books that essentially is, you know how Miller teamed up with Netflix?
Yes, I do.
It's going to be one of those books.
So this book is like, it might be just an adaptation of some scripts.
It could be. It could be.
But it is setting up the
yes.
Miller-verse.
But I enjoyed it, like one of his other miniseries, Reborn, so I'm definitely interested in checking this out, especially because it is about magic. It's Magic meets the mob.
Oh, cool.
It's just like, you know how like there's like we hear about monsters and stuff like that, but you never actually see them?
Yeah.
It's because these guys are taking care of it.
Oh, cool.
It is rated M, so I do want to
stress that.
Younger fans, this may not be for you, and I didn't recommend it then.
No, that's fair.
But I'm totally recommending this. I'm going to check it out.
Yes.
And then from DC, Mr. Miracle number 9 comes out, guys. Tom King, Mitch Gerards, Nick Darrington, all working on this book for a while now. It looks like the war on Apocalypse is finally coming to an end, or at least the battles are, and now it's time for some discussions between Mr. Miracle and Calabac, which I can't wait to see.
Yeah.
I've really been enjoying this book. We have only a few more issues left to see what's going on.
Yeah.
This was the book that, like, I literally, like, I had, like, formulated this, like, wild idea in my head, and then I sat down and I was just like, that can't possibly work. Like, it doesn't conceivably work at all, because I had originally thought that we were seeing this book almost, like, out of sync and out of order, and that, like,
that he's actually, like, the first page of the first issue is actually the last page.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that, like, there is a tragedy that occurs that involves... I don't want to ruin anything for those who haven't read any of it.
Yeah.
But there's a tragedy that involves a...
loved one in his life.
A little loved one in his life.
Yes.
And that's what... And, like, I was like, but I don't think that works at all.
I think it does.
I don't know if it does. So, like, I was like, oh my god, if that's what it is, that is...
Yeah. And by the way,
I
like...
don't think that's what it is.
Tom King needs to stop writing Batman, but this is a great series.
It really is. I really have been enjoying this series. And this one is one of those where it's like, the floppies are an experience to read, and I think the trade is going to be a very different experience to read as well.
And it'll be a big seller.
Yeah, so
get on the ground floor.
If you haven't gotten in, you can still go back and get them.
Yep.
We are on issue 9, though, so if you want to wait, it's a few more months.
Yeah, and then the trade will be out like the following week.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
Nice. Well, there you go, guys. That was us hanging out and talking about comics from this past week. Of course, check out those books if you want to buy books for this week. And stay tuned for more. This is our Sunday live comic wrap-up show where we hang out with you and give you rundowns of books that came out last week that we read.
That's right.
This may be the new home for Off the Rack.
We haven't quite figured it out yet. We're going to see.
Live on Sundays, and then I release it on Tuesdays, the day before New Comic Book Day. So if you haven't caught it live, don't feel bad. You'll see it next time.
Yeah.
But thanks a lot for hanging out, and we'll see you guys next week. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so long, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.